Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Go ahead.
You go.
We're going to try to do this in a similar format as Roadkill and Goldilocks. So we'll read a question and then we'll answer it, and then we'll probably stop the film and go over the next one before we do it.
Who are you, though? We gotta do an introduction.
Oh, well, of course.
Yes. I'm Sacagawea.
And I'm Kronk.
Taking a nap.
Taking a nap.
So.
Which this wouldn't work otherwise. As many of you parents would know.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get started.
Question number 1. What pack is it that you use to carry Solel?
Solel is Yzma.
Yeah, that's her real name.
Yeah. So we use the Wild Child by, they have two names. It's Sea to Summit, but they've merged with
Wilderness Equipment.
Wilderness Equipment. So they're an Australian company. I think they're sort of small company, or at least part of it is. I don't know if the merger is. So anyway.
So I know Wilderness Equipment is in Australia, and they're just in Australia, and they have various stores in Australia. Did I mention that they're in Australia? They merged with Sea to Summit, which is a bigger franchise, and everyone knows about Sea to Summit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And thank you, Henry. Henry is the main guy that we were talking with, and he was awesome and got us our pack, and even gave us a discount for taking a little bit longer than anticipated. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's been awesome with the customer service end. We had a small issue with one of the hip belts, was having a hard time staying in, and Henry at Sea to Summit, he was right there. I mean, instantly sent us a new one. And the shipping has got to be quite a bit coming from there because they don't have any stores in America. So, so thank you, Henry.
Question number 2.
How did you each get your trail names?
Well, my name is Sacagawea, and I got that trail name from Roadkill. He thought of it because we're carrying a baby. Sacagawea is pretty sweet, and she carried her baby across the country with Lewis and Clark, so Sacagawea it is. I accepted it too, so we thought for a day or two about it, and I liked it.
Yep. And Joanna is actually the one who thought of my name. We grew up watching, all sorts of Disney films, and Emperor's New Groove is a Disney film. So Joanna was the one who thought of Kronk and Yzma, and if you haven't seen it, well, just type in Emperor's New Groove, and you could probably watch a short video on YouTube to see why we are that way. And if you're a parent and you had a little critter on your back, you might be able to relate.
Question number 3. How are you handling the diaper situation?
So we use 3 methods. We have the elimination communication. So there's all sorts of videos on YouTube about women who have used that. And it's a lot of work, and Joanna's awesome for doing it because it saves us a lot of weight. The other system is a G-diaper system. Again, you can go and look that one up. It's a cloth exterior, a plastic insert, and then a thin compostable absorbent. And then the last is we use regular disposables, and we use those typically when we're going into town the day before or so, just because they are heavier, and so we just mostly use those when we're in town or coming into town where we know we can toss them away. So, the 4th question is, how much do your packs weigh, and is it getting easier over time to haul them?
My pack weighs anywhere from 45 to 60 pounds, and
my pack weighs anywhere from 65 to 80 pounds.
Yeah. So when we're leaving town, that is our heaviest weight carrying because it's food, it's the full resupply. And as we're coming into a town, so it's on our last days, our last bit of food, our packs are a lot lighter, and by that time, Mike is able to take some of the weight, or say Kronk, is able to take
Nice.
some of the weight away from me, like the mattress pads or the battery pack. So any of those things are pretty heavy. Sometimes he just takes it, and less weight for me to carry. Do you notice any changes in how your body is responding to all of the miles? Getting trail legs, hiker hunger, and is your pack getting easier to haul?
So I do notice I'm getting better, and especially leaving town, which is our heaviest day, as we mentioned. I definitely notice I'm getting better at my body's getting stronger where I'm not so exhausted from it. Where before, when we first started, after that, it was like one of the harder workouts I've ever done, you know. But definitely getting stronger. I do have some battles with keeping healthy in a muscle sense. There's some tension, which is to be expected. But yeah, just self-massage and all that, and it does seem to help. I'd say midweek, when we're a lot lighter on our packs, it really is, it's noticeable. It's like walking on a cloud,
Yeah.
which is really nice. So that was different, because before it was definitely we get done with the first couple days and then I'm still exhausted. But now my recovery's much better for that.
Nice.
How about you?
I definitely notice that my body's a lot stronger, mostly getting the trail legs. When I do some poses of like yoga and stuff to help me help the recovery time. I do notice I have a lot more strength in my lower body. I definitely notice that, you know, there are some muscle aches and everything, but I feel a lot stronger. I feel when we do go on high mile days, 10 plus, I feel really good. I'm not exhausted, and yeah, I'm not exhausted or dying. Hiker hunger? Yes and no. I think that we were eating a lot in the beginning because we had a lot of food, though I think sometimes we're just too exhausted to eat, and I'd rather sleep. Though, that being said, when we get into a town, I'm all for eating a lot.
Yeah, we eat a lot when we get into town.
But not on trail. I think we're just too tired.
And especially lately with the night hikes.
Yeah.
It's been, you know, when we're finishing at 1 or 1:30 in the morning, it's you're so exhausted that you don't really care to make food, or if anything, it's just whatever's quick and handy.
Yeah.
Question number 6. What percentage of hiking time is listening to podcasts or music? And what podcasts do you like to listen to the most?
For myself, majority of the time I just listen to nature, and I'm enjoying the scene and listening to the wind. But there are some times that I just listen to some music that I have downloaded on my Spotify.
It's usually when she doesn't want to hear me anymore.
Okay.
You're laughing at the truth of that.
I can't deny that. But I do have a book that I'm kind of listening to. It's called Love and Logic, and it's parenting skills, but it's also things that you can just apply in general with love and logic. Yeah. If you guys want to know, I can give you the information or put it in the details below.
What about music? What kind of music do you listen to?
What kind of music do I listen to? I listen to an eclectic amalgamation.
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 Do you want to give them specifics of what kind of music you listen to?
Adele, When you
That was
ask
good.
me questions,
I got
have,
you.
I
I
have
know what she
so
listens
ma-
to. I've known her forever. She listens to Watsky. She likes 21 Pilots. She likes Adele. Let's see who else. Regina Spektor. I'm sure she's got a little bit of Eminem on there. She's got some reggae music.
You know more about me than I do.
Yeah, I know exactly. That's what happens after a while.
Rag and Bone, Ben Kaplan, Naz and Damien, Delta Ray, The Revivalist. Or occasionally I have to throw in a little Broadway musical here and there.
Hey, little one.
Oh.
Somebody just woke up.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Goldie. Oh, can you say hi? Oh. Can you wave hi to the camera? Go hi. Hi. Hello. Hello.
All right, so I will answer the question now.
What kind of music?
Well,
Podcasts?
same as Sacagawea, I spend a lot of my time listening just to nature, which is kind of surprising. You would think you'd get some looking in might think it'd be a little old after a while, but it doesn't really get old. So I spend a little bit of my time listening to stories and podcasts. I've hardly listened to music at all so far on trail. But as far as music goes, I like most of the same stuff Joanna does. Little less emphasis on poppy kind of stuff, more folky. As far as podcasts and books, my books have been mostly fiction books. The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan has been a good one. I read those books a long time ago and didn't ever finish because they didn't have the last one, so I listened to them all on audiobook. And then I've been listening to a book by Brent Weeks. It's a trilogy called The Way of the Shadow, or at least that's the first book. And that's also has been really good. I'm going to download on my Spotify for Kennedy Meadows. I'm going to download Jordan Peterson's lectures.
Yes.
I've already listened to them, and they're really good lectures. If you haven't heard Jordan Peterson, definitely recommend. Highly, I mean, probably the most high recommendation for his stuff. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is also really good. I haven't downloaded that for this trip, but I listened to them all a year or so ago, and I was thinking about downloading them to re-listen because you can't know history well enough, really. So that's a good one.
All right, question number 7. Do you have anything you would consider a luxury item? A
baby.
Well, okay.
We both thought of that and kind of sarcastically said it, so we thought we'd answer it that way.
But in general, it's tough to say because of some people that are going ultra light. They have things that they would consider a luxury item, like a pillow. And we just have one pillow. You have the pillow. I actually just use her. Yeah, I use her Patagonia bunting, and I roll it up, and that's usually my pillow. Or sometimes it's the diaper bag. Real classy pillow there.
Not the used diaper bag.
No. And then
my knife is a luxury item because it has so many things on it, and most of them I would never use except in like a emergency situation. But we have used the can opener on it when we've been in town for canned beans. But mostly there's stuff on it I don't really need. Let's see, was there another luxury item? I feel like we had another one.
I did have 2 pairs of like shirts. One I thought was gonna be a town shirt, and then one was a hiking shirt, but I realized it's kind of silly. So I'm actually gonna send this shirt back. I'm gonna have my other shirt with me. So yeah, just one shirt. And I have 3 pairs of socks. So usually people just have 2. I like to have 3 though.
I just have 2.
Yeah, besides that.
Yeah.
Sit pad. Maybe that's
Sit pads would probably
sit
be a
pads are
luxury
probably
item.
a luxury item.
Mostly just the baby and all her stuff.
We don't have room for luxury items.
Yeah, we really don't. we eat a lot of food, so
That's
maybe
our
food's our luxury.
food, yeah.
Get some
we
Oreos
get some
or something.
Oreos.
Yeah. Question number 8 is, can you describe a typical day on the trail? I assume your daughter is not always so happy, but maybe she is. How often do you need to stop for her needs?
Well, a typical day is kind of, changing based on her schedule, but typical days, baby usually wakes us up with, eh, eh,
Or
just smacks us. She has her little, she has a sleeping bag that she's in, so she looks like a little seal because her hands are covered, and she just hits us sometimes. Anyway, so she wakes up, we're hanging out, whoop, and we usually hang out in the tent for probably about an hour, get food. Yeah, we get food and eat breakfast and have coffee, and I get her ready for the day in her day outfit, and then once she's all ready and nursed and good, just put her outside the tent, and then you guys can play outside, and then I can pack up everything because I have all the gear, so I pack up all the gear, and it's easier to do that when I don't have the baby in the tent with me. And then you guys play, and once the gear is packed up and baby's fed again, typically around that time it's maybe 2.5 hours since she's woken up, and then she's ready for her nap. So I nurse her right before we go, and then put her in the pack, and she can usually go in the pack for the first 5 to 6 miles.
sometimes longer.
Or sometimes longer.
Sometimes shorter too.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on her. And, whoa!
Where'd it go?
Oh no! But we'll break anywhere from 1 to 3 hours since we left in the morning. And then we'll have a little snack, get her out, and then we'll go on trail for another 5 to 6 miles. But that schedule, it's changing, and if we're trying to do longer mile day, we'll try to start earlier and then maybe take 2 short breaks and 1 long break. So it just really depends. She's generally pretty good.
And after, usually a mix of some sort of feeding breaks and a little bit of a play break, because she has to have that in a day. If you don't get her out to play, she just fuss. And we don't want to torture her, so we let her have at least, an hour and a half, 2 hours of playtime. But that being said, she's still at that stage where she can play in the backpack, and some of it's just cooing and making noises with me. And sometimes she cries. But usually she's really happy. She really likes the views. If anything, she's more fussy when we're in town.
Yes.
But to continue with how the day looks, after that big break where we let her play, then we try to get a few more miles in. And she'll usually nap if we give her the right play time and feeding time. And she'll usually nap for another 5 to 7-ish miles. And oh, look at those yawns. And then when we get to camp, if she's sleeping, we'll let her sit in the backpack till she wakes, and we'll set up. Joanna and I, or Sacagawea and I, will set up camp together. But often she's waking up around that time and ready to eat and do a little playing before bed, and so Joanna will take her, and opposite of morning, and I'll set up camp and make dinner. And oh, she's still super tired. On camera.
Edit out. What are some features that you like and dislike about each of your packs?
Well, for mine, I really like the size. The competition for child carriers, both the Deuter and the Osprey don't have even close to the amount of volume that the wild child has. And so I can carry a lot, meaning I can carry all of our food for 10 days and our child, and you couldn't do that any other way. Things I dislike, or really there would just be one thing, and that's that it's a child carrier. I don't like having a kid's head right behind my head. It kind of forces my posture to be a little bit like this to kind of avoid her, and possibly, and I prefer to be like this, possibly some of that is just due to the way I have it set up, could be. But it's also just kind of, I think, how child carriers are, because you have a kid behind you.
So then what are some features that you like or dislike about your packs? For myself, I like the brain because it can turn into a backpack, which is nice for little carries or just doing something that you don't want to carry the whole backpack. And then, but it does make that a little bit heavier. And then something I don't like about my pack, I have a lot of good things to say about my pack. I have the Xena Osprey pack. It's an 85 liter. And typically I wouldn't go for a pack of that size. But what can you do when you got a lot of stuff to carry? So but I really like the pack. It doesn't hurt my back. I feel like I can carry the weight really well. So I love it. So there's not really anything I don't like about it. Do you plan to go all the way to Canada, or is this a section hike?
I would say that we are going to just take it one day at a time, as we've done, and that we will take as much time as we can to be out here, and enjoying the outdoors.
Yeah. Maybe we make it all the way, maybe we don't, but just enjoying being out here. So that's the best part.
Oh yeah. What is one thing you know now that you wish you would have known before you started?
One thing that we wish we knew beforehand was the gravity filter system. It makes the filtering of the water really hands-free kind of situation. So Micah was doing a lot of the filtering, and it was the Sawyer system with just squeezing the bottle, and that was taking a lot of time. And now that we have the gravity filter system, it is less time. I think that's one thing. Is there anything that you want to add to that?
I would say I wish I would have known how the time would work with cooking and all of that, because we packed a lot of food that needs to be cooked, and it's more than we have or want to spend time for to make. So I wish I would have known that, because there's probably less preparation I would have spent, and probably just knowing that I would have bought more summer sausages and cheese and things like that, which I did not think about.
What is the most challenging part about having a young one on trail? Is it having to carry the little one, or question, and then there's how much grief did you get from friends and family for taking the little one?
Well, I would say the most challenging part of having her, well, there's a couple factors. One of them is she's right behind my head, so she's quite loud sometimes, and even when she's just having fun, sometimes it's not comfortable while walking, like so. I would say probably the hardest part, though, is just that we don't have as much time to enjoy looking at the clouds or whatever, smelling the roses, essentially. Because we have a little creature. Come on, little creature, go get it. Go get the ball. Good job. So I would say that's probably, for me, the more challenging part. I'm sure Joanna Sacagawea has another part that's pretty challenging.
Yeah, it's a mixture. I think I think the time and energy.
You're okay.
Yeah, she doesn't like the grass. It's the only time she bear crawls on it. Most challenging part. I have 2 answers to that.
What is the most challenging part about having a young one on trail for you?
I would say the most challenging part would be the time and energy, because once we finish doing a long hike and we get her out of the pack, she wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to run around. We have to entertain her. So the entertaining part, I would say, is challenging. Rewarding, but challenging. Like right now. And then the other challenging part, I would say, it sounds silly, I guess, some people, but the nursing is a challenging aspect for me. It's sometimes a love-hate relationship. I love it and I love the benefits for her, but it's hard on me sometimes because I'm also the pacifier along with it.
So how much grief did you get from friends and family for taking the little one? Some people were a little grief, but mostly just questions. You know, especially our parents just wanted to know what we thought, what we were thinking, if this was just kind of out of the blue and random, or if it was something we'd kind of thought about before. And since it has been kind of a goal for us in general, we had already thought a little bit about it. So after answering their questions, I think they realized that we were serious, and we also were slightly, a little bit experienced in the area. Obviously never having done a big through hike, just experienced in outdoors and how to handle ourselves and our nutrition, our health. And I think that made them feel at ease. What do you do to keep your morale up on down days? Everybody has days, whether you're out hiking or at home, and I think however you practice that at home will go over into how you practice that on the trail. And so if your method for taking care of yourself when you're in pain is to go into, using medication or even if it's just having a bad attitude about it, that will definitely carry over into here and make the trip all that more challenging. Joanna and I, for years, have been practicing how to deal with our pain, both physical, mental, and emotional, and how to find gratitude even when the world's not perfect. And I think that has translated to mostly having really good days out here. We do have down days though, and I think just kind of silence and getting our own little time, whether that's just walking a little bit away from each other just to breathe and get our own space to clear our heads, that definitely helps. But mostly we stay pretty positive, and we've had a really good experience out here, and the baby has a good time. Right now Sacagawea is not with me because the baby is extra needy, because we've been cooped up in weather she's not used to. It's been 105. Even in the house it's been 100 degrees. So she's a little cooped up and ready to get back out on trail. So Sacagawea is watching her right now, and I'm going to finish the video. So that's how we keep our morale up. We find gratitude in little things. Next question is, what is our favorite piece of gear, and what would be our must-have item? Obviously we must have our baby. And in some ways she's our favorite piece of gear and our least favorite. No, on a real note, probably favorite piece of gear is the pillow. We didn't have pillows, and we had, other than my knife, 0 luxury items for the trail. We did end up getting a pillow, and I absolutely love it. I totally recommend it. Also, another favorite piece of gear is our gravity filter, because that saves me so much time, or Joanna, whoever's going to do it. doing something that's kind of tedious and gives us a little more time to hang out with our baby. What has been the biggest physical, emotional, and mental struggle for each of us so far? I can't really answer for Sacagawea because I'm sure she has a more in-depth answer for this for her. For me, would say the biggest physical challenge is just the 80-ish pound pack. It's really pretty simple. Emotional challenge, early on, it was a lot of more work maybe than we were expecting, and we kind of were in a rougher situation than we had expected. And I think it made us both kind of want to quit in some ways. We both we were having a hard time finding gratitude. But we worked through that, and we realized, we do really want to be out here, and struggles and all. So we kind of found a way to speak positively, be happy, be grateful, find the gratitude in the little things. And that's made the emotional challenge a lot easier. Mental struggles, just pain, aches. You come up to a hill, it's like, oh gosh, I don't know, am I ready? And you just breathe through it. I think both of us use a method of breathing known sort of, I hate to say created, it's not quite right. Both use a method done by Wim Hof, who is a Northern European, I can't remember what country. And you can check him out you could just check him out, Wim Hof, WIMHOFF. And he's on YouTube, but I kind of learned about him from watching Joe Rogan, and he has a breathing method that really helps you kind of get out of your head and more into the present moment. And we just call it Wim Hof in it, and that's kind of one gateway, if you will, to finding the gratitude and peace of mind. So that would be how we manage those. And I'll try to get Sacagawea on to answer the questions that she missed and answer them for her, how it affects her. Thank you all for watching and caring even to hear how this is for us. And if you're watching this and you're about to have a baby and thinking about it, I totally recommend it. It's a lot of fun, and it's totally worth it to watch your little one grow moment by moment, and you don't miss a whole lot because you're not at work 12 hours a day or 8 hours a day, so definitely recommend it. Have a good day.